everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Sekani, a podcast for people in their 20s who are trying to figure out life and not get lost along the way. Today's guest is Tamara Fyke, a creator, connector, and community builder who has spent more than 3 decades helping children, families, and communities thrive. Tamara is the founder of Love in a Big World, an initiative focused on fostering hope, belonging, and positive character development through education, arts, and storytelling. With a master's degree in education from Vanderbilt University, she has dedicated over 30 years to serving as an educator, program developer, and leader across both non-profit and for-profit organizations. Through her writings, songs, and paintings, Tamara shares her personal journey of finding her voice and discovering healing through creativity, inspiring others to pursue wholeness and connection in their own lives. Tamara, welcome to Conversations with Sekani. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Sekani. It's good to be with you.
All right. So, yeah, talking about building community, right? You describe yourself as a creator and connector. So, what does that mean to you in practice?
Yes. I'm so glad you asked. So, as a creator, I'm somebody who makes things out of nothing. And this is something that I've done my whole life. So, whether it's writing a story, and filling up an empty page, or if it's creating a painting and filling up an empty canvas, or creating moments for people to be moved when I'm on stage and I'm singing. Like it's taking the nothing and filling it up so that people can experience. Well, here's the best way I can say this is a long time ago, my voice teacher said to me, her name was Valiha Boombalis. And Miss Boombalis said, I know it's a great name. She said, Tamara, your job as a singer is to help people feel, because a lot of times people are too busy and they don't give themselves an opportunity to tap into what's really going on in their hearts. And so that's the role of art. That's the role of a creative. That's the role of a musician. And so that's part of what I do, is creating those spaces where people feel safe enough to figure out what's going on in their heads and in their hearts, and then make the choices that they need to make for their lives. So that's the creator part. The connector part is I love people, and I love spending time with people. Last night I was at a friend's house for game night, and it was a bunch of families and me, and it was just crazy fun. This Friday night, I'm having some friends over for a bonfire in my backyard. So it's whether it's personally or professionally, just having those times where we can be together and share life and know that we're not alone. I think that's the most important thing, is to let people know, no matter how old they are, that we are not alone.
So it's about, knowing that we are not alone, right? And trying to, connect with humans, basically connect with people. So yeah,
Mhm.
love in a big world, right? So what
Yes.
inspired you to start Love in a Big World, and what impact has it had on communities you serve?
Sure. So I was a recent graduate from college. I had graduated from Belmont University here in Nashville, Tennessee. And I was working as a substitute teacher in urban schools in Nashville. And I was often working in sixth grade classrooms. They were my favorite. They're about 12 years old. And these kiddos were coming from the public housing community nearby. And they would tell me time and again that what they did and what they said, whether they paid attention in class, whether they learned their lessons or not, didn't really matter, because they didn't expect to live past the age of 21. And I was not okay with that. These kids were living in high poverty situations. They had food insecurity. There was a lot of violence happening in their neighborhood, and they saw death regularly. And so for them, that the expectation was, doesn't matter what I do, because I'm not going to be here. And so I would spend time talking with them, just listening to what was going on in their world and singing to them. That was part of how I got them to behave. I said, I'll sing for you at the end of the day. And just sharing life. But I was so moved by their desperation and wanted to use whatever I could, my skills and talents and abilities, to help them know that they had a future and they had a hope. So that's really how Love in a Big World was born.
You know, I'm sure I can say this. I love what you're doing, actually, right?
Oh, thank you.
I love what you're doing. And yes, helping children thrive. Wow. So, you spent decades working with kids and families, right? So, what are some of the most important lessons children need today?
Hmm. That's a really good question, Sekani. I think the most important lesson for them is to know that they are loved
Mm.
unconditionally. Um, I, I'm a firm believer. I'm a mom too. My kids are all grown adults now, but I'm a firm believer that love is the foundation that we all need in order for us to thrive. So often I think we put expectations on ourselves and on other people that if you do this, then I'll love you. Or if you do this, then I'll accept you. And I don't think that's very fruitful. I think if we come at it from, look, I love you and I'm here to support you. And then let's set the expectations for achievement based on that foundation of love. It's a lot easier to meet those expectations rather than feeling like you have to prove yourself. So I think that's the number one thing. And I think as a parent and knowing my own journey, I imagine that other parents need to know themselves that they are loved, and therefore they can love their children out of that place of being accepted and loved themselves. Because if they're still struggling with, I'm not good enough, or I'm not going to achieve, if they're still filled with that self-doubt, self-rejection, self-hatred, they're not going to be able to love and accept their children. So we all have to do our own personal work. So I think one of the other lessons that the children need to know is that they are responsible for their choices. And that can be in small choices with how they respond to their siblings or other classmates with their words, to the big choices of, are they going to pursue higher education, or, so I think we all have to take personal responsibility, and choice is that opportunity and power to make decisions. And knowing that we have that power, I think is the other next important thing for kiddos.
Okay. So, while you were talking, I was thinking about something. They say family is like the smallest unit of the community, right? And
Mhm.
imagine each unit of the community are doing the right thing, right? They are leading with love, living a life filled with love and purpose. That makes the community a better place, actually. So,
Mhm.
yeah, this can lead to something greater, actually. So yeah,
Yes.
talking about like leading with purpose, right? You've led both, non-profit and business initiatives. So how do you maintain a mission-driven mindset in leadership?
My mission-driven mindset in
Yes.
leadership. Well, it's just honestly, it's who I am. So it comes very naturally for me. Um, and what I have found is that whether it's in nonprofit or for-profit world, having that mission focus really does attract other people to the work, and once it makes them want to come along, right? Because they say, oh, okay, we're about the business of bringing hope to children. We're about strengthening families and communities. That's something that people can get around. And as we work together, we build that sense of community ourselves. Now, I will say that in the business world, being mission minded is hard. So, because a lot of for profit businesses are just about the money. right? What I've found though, being a female entrepreneur, a female founder, is that investment goes to about 2% of females worldwide. That's crazy. Out of all the dollars that are given to female startups and founders like me, only 2% of that money is going to females. What's common among us as females is that we are mission driven. So it's been really great for me, especially over this past year, to connect with other women, whether it's online or at events like with the startup ladies out of Indianapolis, to find out that we as women are about improving our world, whether it's in healthcare, education, technology, the arts. We're all looking for how can we make this world a better place for ourselves and for our children. And so it's what I'm doing right now is I'm collecting those other women and forming a tribe, because it's hard. Like I said, especially being in the business world. And we need that continual encouragement from each other. We need to know that we're not alone, even in the marketplace.
Wow. While you're talking, let me pitch myself, right? I would love to join your community.
Oh, great. Yeah, we can make that
Um,
happen.
oh, okay. Thank you for that
Okay.
one.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, I'm talking about quite a lot of things, right? But I want us to talk about, your creativity as healing, right? So you
Yes,
use art,
I
music,
do.
wow, music, and writing as ways to like inspire transformation. So how can creativity help people process life challenges?
Hmm. Well, I'm as a creative, I know I'm biased, but I think taking that time for self-reflection and then expressing what's going on in our heads and what's going on in our hearts is something that makes us whole. So I was on a walk the other week with a friend of mine who's a neurologist, and she deals with a lot of patients who have dementia or Alzheimer's. And her dad is just at the beginning of that journey. My dad has dementia, Alzheimer's. He's been on that journey for about 6 years. And so we were just talking about that. And she said, another friend of mine offered the idea that perhaps Alzheimer's dementia is not just a physical disease, but it actually has emotional roots. Because if people don't process what they're thinking and what they're feeling, like if they're not processing their anger, their sadness, their grief, their hurt, then it gets bottled up inside. And we all know that our emotions do impact our physical health. And so her friend continued with the idea that what if Alzheimer's is caused by the need to forget those painful parts of our lives? Well, when you choose to forget, you don't get to be selective about, I'm just going to forget this part. It kind of wipes out everything, right? And so that really resonated with me. And I think one of the beauties of art, whether it's writing or painting or singing or some other dancing even, is that we can move all those emotions, even that negative energy out of our bodies and process it. We can deal with it. And that is part of what makes us healthy and whole.
Right. Wow. In a way, I could relate to music, right?
Really?
Music,
Yeah.
music helps me a lot, honestly. Like, if I feel overwhelmed, the best way I could just, calm down and self-reflect is by listening to music, right? There's just this calm it comes with, right? So I feel like that's like actually a very creative way of healing. So yes,
Yes.
could relate to music actually.
Mhm. Well,
Yeah.
I just saw a post the other day too that talked about movement and how this one woman, how did she describe herself? She was taught as a child whisperer, I think. And she was saying, if I see a child who is, or when I'm working with a child who is very over anxious or overstimulated, I tell them to jump 13 times. She was very specific about that. She's like, tell them to, and just the movement in their body helps them calm down. So I think there's something that, especially here in America, where we're sitting so much or we're driving from place to place, like we forget that it's important to move our bodies and just let that energy flow through us and not let it get stuck. So music and dancing, I love it.
Okay, so yeah, about what you just said about that child jumping and all, it's I think I'm going to try it out, right? If I see a
Yeah.
child, I will try it out. I really want to know what happens after, right? So I'm
Hmm.
definitely going to try it out. So yeah,
Hmm.
this has been, short but amazing. I've learned a whole lot actually. And yes, it brings
Oh,
us to the message, right? And they're overcoming life ups and downs. Because my podcast is for young adults who are seeking to gain clarity, right? So you've persevered through challenges while continuing your mission. So what has kept you motivated during these difficult seasons so that, young adults can also learn from it?
yes. Well, there's several things that have kept me motivated, but I will say when I was a young adult and I had a heart full of dreams, I thought that I was going to save the world. And I remember sitting with an older couple from my church community, and they looked at me and they said, Tamara, we love that you have this passion for kids. We love your idea with Love in a Big World, but you know what? It's going to take time because your character is proven over time and you're going to have to persevere. Now, when they said that to me, I got really angry. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I want this and I want this now. And I look back and I go, okay, I get it. What they were talking about is that I needed the capacity in my spirit to be able to hold all of the lessons so that when I teach or when I sing or when I write, things resonate. There's an authenticity that doesn't come just by saying, oh, look at me. I'm the next best thing, if that makes sense. So I guess what I would encourage you all to do is persevere, stick to it, don't give up. And what keeps me persevering is number one, my faith, and then my family and friends. My faith in God and my family and friends saying, I believe in you. You are not crazy for this dream that you have in your heart. We've seen the difference that it makes, and we're standing with you. So faith and community.
All right. Okay, so thank you. Perseverance is the watchword, right? Perseverance.
Yes, perseverance. Mhm.
Okay, so yeah, this brings us to the final segment of my podcast. It's called the rapid fire segment. So
Okay,
starting now, community means
being together.
okay, and hope grows when
This is hard. Hope grows when we don't give up.
okay, and yeah, creativity allows us to
Be whole.
okay, and yeah, belonging feels like
Family. A big
all right,
hug.
and okay, children need more.
Love.
Okay, leadership requires
Humility.
right, and yes, healing begins when
You look in the mirror and you
okay,
say
and
yes to
finally,
yourself. Hmm.
okay, look in the mirror and say yes to
To
yourself.
yourself. Hmm.
Okay, all right, and finally, joy is
My strength.
my strength. Okay, something came to my head when I said joy is. I was going to say joy is me. That's my name.
I love that. Yep.
All right. So yeah, thank you for sharing your story and the beautiful work you're doing to bring hope and connection into the world. Thank you so much. And where can listeners get to know more about you and what you do?
Yes, they can follow on Instagram at Tamara Creates or at Love in a Big World. They can also find our website, loveinaBigWorld.com or tamaracreates.com.
Okay, all right. So for Instagram, I would be reaching out to you after this
Okay,
on Instagram.
please
All
do.
right, so thank you. And yes,
Thank
to
you.
all right, to my listeners, thanks for tuning into Conversations with Sekani. If this episode sparked something in you, make sure to share to someone you think might need this and also subscribe so you don't miss out on new episode. Thank you, Tamara. And once again, your Instagram handle, you said
At Tamara Creates.
Tamara Creates. Okay, so
All
thank
one
you.
word. Yep. Thank
Okay,
you.
so, okay,
Okay.
do have a wonderful day. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.